All right, welcome traders to the Thursday Bookmap Academy meeting. We'll go through We'll go through your content. This is the Academy members who apply, and then they're given a spreadsheet, and they make content, and we go over it. It's in the Discord chat room that will go over it in the Bookmap Academy room and give some feedback. You'll post it in there, and then we have these weekly meetings. We may do more than weekly. It might be 2 a week. So we'll see. We're kind of working on that. But anyway, as you guys know, over here in our Discord server, you know the drill. And let's dive in. All right. So let me first just show you, if you are interested in this academy, this is where to go. Go to bookmap.com. You can see my screen here, and then go down to, or go to the More button, and then down to Bookmap Academy here under Community. And you can read through this. You can get Bookmap for free, and you can become a coach. You can become a Bookmap streamer, etc. So you get a community, you get coaching. It's a great program. It's really a win-win. All right, so a few things to go through before we jump in and go through the disclosure. Just wanted to let you guys know about, we just released the digest here. You may have seen this earlier, but the Trader Map Pro version and the Trader Map Lite that we released, so now it's within Trader Map Pro, and it has a slider in there, so you're able to really kind of fine tune. You can see the before and after in here. So this is before with that algo in here, the stacker algo, and this is what it looks like after we filter it out. And look how much more you can read from the heat map. This is exactly the same chart. And you can really start to understand, okay, all right, there's a lot of liquidity here on the offer in these areas, which the stacker algo here just blows out because it's just a larger player with 3 levels on the offer and on the bid, and very, very high liquidity. All right, so anyway, we'll have a video and more content. I'll go over it in the All Markets webinar tomorrow as well. So just if you're interested in that, we'll have other content for you soon. Now, general disclosure, all Bookmap limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. The risk disclosure, trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so we got a full lineup here today of coaches. And welcome back, Jack. He's been away. So we're going to dive right in and let him go through it. So hand it over to you, Jack, and work your magic.
Yes, sir. So it's been great. Thanks for the welcome back, guys. I had a lot of people reach out to me. It's really great to hear from people and people wishing me kind of well wishes while I've been gone, just doing a bunch of personal stuff and community service stuff. So it's been really great. I've got 2 very exciting traders today that I want to talk about, and they've been really rock stars when it comes to journaling and really like archiving their process. And they both use similar tools, but they use them in completely different ways. And one of the things that I want to highlight here, specifically kind of theme-wise on today's kind of like review of these 2 guys, is that you don't need to do order flow trading a specific way. You don't need to zoom into micro kind of like time frames and really get into some of those things. There's a lot of tools within Bookmap that you can use in different ways within order flow. These particular gentlemen, they use what's called Scotty's zones, essentially. And as we get into the first one here, I've got a link at the top that I'm going to include into the Academy chat as well as the YouTube chat here. And what it is it's going to take you to a series of messages that Dune Runner has, and it's at the top there, Bruce, but you don't need to click it. And what we're going to look at here is the first image, right? Now, he's put in a series of really, really great content. And what we're looking at specifically in this one is just kind of like looking at the zones tool from a wider lens, right? And this is kind of something for those traders who maybe they want to look at a trade and then kind of walk away from their computer for a little while. They don't want to stare at the trade because they fiddle with it. They get that kind of like, they can't leave it alone, and then they get out of a trade and it goes the way they want, right? Or just somebody who wants to not be really, really deep into like the footprint style or the heavy order flow when you get really close zoomed in. And this is a really good example of that. And what you can see here is he's using the Scotty zones. And in the first arrow that goes down from the left-hand side, you can see that this makes it to the ATR requirement of this particular system that Scott implements here. Once it gets to that level, he's looking for it to pull back. Now, why is this important? This is a flag pattern. It's just a flag pattern from a higher time frame that we're still looking at. This is no different. This is the same order flow that Bruce and I talk about all the time. This is the same stuff that David talks about. It's just utilizing this specific tool to see those things. Once it makes it to that level and it starts on its second leg, what they look for is a potential breakout from that. And you can see him getting short there at the number 2. This is a second leg pullback breakout, essentially, right? And that's very common vernacular that you'll see throughout order flow trading or price action trading. It's that impulse move, pull back, another impulse move, getting that second leg and continue going. And as you can see here, we get that exactly right there. Now, you can see that he's very compressed in his NQ here, so he's not looking at specific liquidity. So those particular concerns that we harp on with traders that are looking at those more tight, narrow timeframes, this isn't that kind of style. This is a different style. But he's still looking at where the triggers are. And these are triggered through icebergs. They're triggered with sweeps. There's different things that happen. And when orders transact, those icebergs transact, those sweeps transact, and you're reacting off of those, that's still order flow trading, guys. That's still a type of order flow trading. And it's important to remember those concepts when you're doing it. You don't have to do everything like everyone else. And you can really see here him execute that second leg pullback. And not only that, we can see that he's scaling out when he gets a sweep, because that's part of his strategy. That's part of his system here around 3. And then as it continues further, he's looking at a little bit of volume pressure imbalance along with some of the scaling out again. And then he's looking for his final profit leg at, I think that's the third ATR, which is like where they kind of look for their final leg. If you have questions on this type of stuff, if this is something that's more interesting, or maybe it just kind of grasps some of your attention, this is Scott Pulcini. He's got a channel in here. He's got a webinar that he hosts all the time. He's a great guy. Definitely recommend listening to him if this is something that's really interesting to you. And that's really what I want to highlight with this particular setup. And I really find this great from a perspective of being able to journal, Dune Runner. You've done a fantastic job with this. And like I said, both of you and Vinny V that I have today, both of you are very, very great at journaling. And by annotating your charts this way, you're going to be able to take this tool 6 months from now, and maybe your proficiency with that particular tool allows you to see something you weren't seeing 6 months ago. But because you annotated things, you've got a really nice, clear picture, you're keeping track of your strategy, you're going to be able to reflect on this, and you're going to be able to reflect and improve and iterate your process, which is what the Academy is about. It's about gaining that kind of perspective there. Before we go through the next guy, I want David to come in and talk. What do you got, David?
I love it. Great trading there. So congratulations. That's some really nice handles that you've taken out there. So very well done. This sort of pattern, those that were trading post-lunch yesterday when the market was tanking down will see that sort of sawtooth or whatever sort of graphical I'd like to describe it as.
Yeah, the sawtooth's really a great visual.
Like down it goes. And you look, if you're not in, you're looking for that sort of little pull up, or what I was doing heavily yesterday is scaling. I'm going to say that again here, and I appreciate utter respect for Scott and everything that he does and his system and so forth. Where, as you said at the start there, Jet, we all trade a little bit differently. We look at order flow a little bit in our own sort of unique way, and I'll use my golfing analogy. here, where that market is really starting to motor down, myself, I wouldn't be necessarily looking to take some off. I'd be looking to put some on. But that's crazy, David. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know the size that he's working with here. I mean, that might have been like a concentration risk. So I mean, there's a lot of little nuance there. But I agree. I probably would have added as opposed to taking some out.
But that's because we're crazy, Bruce, isn't it?
We do lean into these things a little more than we should probably.
And it's us lot, Monday morning quarterbacks looking at the charts again, Bruce.
No comment. No comment.
Now, one thing I also want to kind of highlight here before we kind of get into it, we were talking about this as the coaches were before we started. We're in a regime right now which is like very negative gamma oriented, and you don't necessarily need to worry about gamma. It's a scary word, but you'll find that there's a lot more like trending action. You'll find that like there's a lot more sweeping action. So some of your stops where they're really tight might have gotten tripped up or things like that. That's kind of the evolving market conditions. This is going to happen from time to time. And this is where I always harp on mean reversion trade and like being too aggressive with those mean reversion trades, because you get days like this where all it does is go down or it goes up, and that's it. That's all it's doing. And you're looking for a mean reversion, but the mean is constantly adjusting into the trend direction against where you are. So it's very, very important for you mean reversion traders to isolate your strategy, confine it so that these days don't work against you. You don't want to be trading mean reversion on a trend day, and you don't want to be trading trend on a mean reversion day, right? You need to isolate those and find a way in your process to get through those. And the best way to do that is journaling. Figure out what you're seeing in the market. Figure out what you're seeing in the order flow. And as you collect these images and you just stare at charts over and over and over again, you're going to see candles, you're going to see volume orbs while you're sleeping, while your eyes are bleeding, but you're going to get better at this stuff. It's just the nature of the beast. The more time and energy and effort you put into it, you will improve. Some people improve faster than others. That's okay. But just iterate, work on it.
Very much. And like yesterday, well, it's going down and today going up, my usual line about looking for that confluence, if you have got access to DX feed and you can look at the key tech stocks, that's what I'm doing, where I would be looking to either scale out, scale in, or anything else in between, is seeing like today where Meta went up $10 on its own self. And that's before you talk about what happened to Nvidia and the rest of them. That gives me confidence with which to trade aggressively and move my stops around and my take profits around as well.
That's a great perspective. You usually label it like M7 or M10 on your charts, right? When you're talking about the bloods and stuff. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yep. Really great stuff here. Dune Runner, again, I only covered one of your images here. I felt this was really the best one. And I really kind of want to highlight this perspective, really kind of ingrain this image in your head, because the next guy we're going to look at with Vinny V is looking at it from a completely different perspective. So let's go ahead and move down to him, Bruce, if you would.
Yeah, Stan, do you have any
Sorry,
comments? Also, I reached out to, it's a pity, Dune Runner's usually here, but I don't see him in the audience. But
so the reason he put up a blast of all these images is because he's going to be away for a couple of days, and he was just trying to like make sure that like he had all this stuff organized. So he let us know that he was going to be away for a couple of days, so he might not be here today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stan?
Yeah, no, I find very great what Jack says. Really, he does a great job. He's consistent. He knows what he's looking for. It's great to see his thread through Bookmap. No, just great job.
He doesn't have the liquidity you like, do you?
Yeah, exactly. But still,
I know you want to say it.
Yeah,
I know you want to say it.
True.
Don't worry.
Yeah,
I've prepared for you. The next image will make you happy, buddy.
Blood everywhere, the next one.
But still, yeah, he knows what he's looking for, and
yeah, he's got a strategy and he's executing it, right? And like that's the important part, being consistent in strategy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Most important.
Appreciate that, Stan. That's really it for Dune Runner. But for Stan, as we go to the first image here, if you can, just blow that up for Stan so you can see that nice big red there. That's what you want to see, right, Stan?
Exactly.
Okay, Vinny V inviting you in, so you can open the mic for you.
So,
hey guys.
Hey, Vinny.
Welcome, Vinny. So this is one of the trades, like I said, I kind of wanted to highlight, not just using the Scotty zone that you're using here, but I know that one of the critiques for some of these things when you do zoom out is you do lose that liquidity, right? And you're kind of a hybrid of this setup here with what we've got here. And you can see one of the things that Stan mentions, it's like he wants to see that liquidity continue to pressure price down. And you'll notice like it's not the liquidity that's just bracketing price that TraderMap Pro will filter out, like Bruce mentioned before. This is actual resting market liquidity that's kind of like stair stepping down. It's not just stair stepping down, but it's actually adding more liquidity as we go down, because we see that, you know, the bands are still there above, but we are still increasing some of that liquidity. This is really great from that perspective. One of the other things that I kind of want to note is we also see a lot of traders who use higher time frame stuff. They use different strategies, and you're not only using Scotty zones here, but you're using Fibonacci's, and that's something that interests a lot of people because they see it and they can recognize it really clearly. Maybe they're not a flag pattern trader, and this really showcases that kind of concept of how you can, you know, marry all these tools together in this kind of concept. And this particular one, we're using an external tool with Fib in a different chart, but notwithstanding, you can do that with multiple tools here. And then the other thing that I've always liked, Vinny, is the picture-in-picture. It's something that I've used myself. I find that it's incredibly useful from the perspective of like, you can see kind of like where the market was when you took the screenshot, and then you get your second screenshot and you can see like how it evolved, and you can kind of test yourself on those kind of biases. Is that kind of how you use it, or do you use it just for documentation purposes?
Hey guys, yeah, thanks for having me today. Good day to everybody. Yeah, no, I actually use both. I use the Bookmap, and I also use the chart that you see in the lower left that has after on it. So I use a combination of them both. I find that it brings you know, another asset into the picture. Sometimes you can see maybe just a little bit more clearly for me, and I can just constantly post up some Fibonacci's on it as well. You know, it's really amazing sometimes how these Fibonacci's match up with the liquidity zones and the Scotty zones. I don't know, maybe somebody's seen something, and fortunately we're able to see it as well. And so they match up, and it just really kind of gives me a little bit more of a conviction of where the price could tend to move to with a greater edge. And what you had mentioned earlier, this was I thought was a pretty decent setup. Orders pulled lower. I mean, that was some really good signs right there. I might have got into it a little late, so I just had to wait till a couple more signals that showed up, and then sure enough, that's what happened. I got out a little bit early. I got out to 127 Fibonacci for 8 points. But yeah, so, you know, hey, you know, a win's a win. So get me out back for the win.
8 points isn't so bad. So one thing that I've kind of like looking at how you utilize this, have you thought about having the Cloud Notes spreadsheet? You know how the Cloud Notes work, right? Where you can just update a spreadsheet and then your levels pull in. One of the things that I have a friend that does is they utilize the Cloud Notes, and they'll toss in fibs from highs and lows. They do it programmatically because, you know, they're a C++ programmer, so like all of that stuff is really easy for them. But you can do it manually just the same by just typing in those same levels into the spreadsheet, and then they'll populate in the Cloud Note. Have you considered doing something like that?
No, I'm not as advanced as your friend, but I'm definitely open to learning.
I think that's something that could be really good. I'll talk with you afterwards, and I'll show you how to do the Cloud Notes and update the spreadsheet and stuff. It's pretty easy, but it would just give you like that way. I don't know if you have like off to the second monitor with your chart and stuff, but like once you set your fib, you can add those lines into your spreadsheet there, and then you can kind of reference them back and forth between Bookmap's chart, see where it is concretely, and then, you know, your it looks like Trading View chart, I believe, or similar in the Fibonacci
Sure.
there.
You know, it would be great if we can have that tool right on Bookmap rather than having to do it on another. You know,
Yeah, with
outside
the way they render stuff, it's very difficult because of how that stuff works. But they've
Understood.
improved some of those stuff like difficulty wise, so maybe it's more doable now. But a stopgap solution is the Cloud Notes. I think that it would really help
Great.
overall. I'll mention that to you afterwards. But this was overall great. And you can see that liquidity. Before we talk to David this time, let's talk to Stan and let's hear about that liquidity, buddy.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for when I'm looking. Like, yeah, it jump in your eyes, and you can clearly see like this conviction. And when you see the sellers coming in, I find that's my personal things. Like, it gives you a kind of edge. Like, yeah, and
I totally agree.
and that's true that it is the thing. Like, if you are just waiting for those kind of anomaly, if you are just patient, it might really give you something, yeah, in your advantage. And that's great. Then you saw it, then you highlight it, and you took advantage of it. And it would be just great maybe to see your trade through Bookmap. It will help us maybe with potential scale, or but if you have your setup, if all your point are already defined, that's good, and just follow it. I think that's the most important. Be consistent and improve. But great job.
Yep. So you mentioned earlier that you kind of entered this a little late. Where would you have liked to have entered? I mean, obviously Monday morning quarterback we talked about before, but like ideally, what were you looking at?
I might have maybe would have liked to have entered a little bit earlier with the pop over there just to the upper left of my initial entry.
Like the 1726-ish time frame, it looks like.
Yeah, maybe that might have been a little better, or even earlier too. I actually have the picture blocking it on the upper left, so I can't reference it right now. But there might have been another opportunity where I might have been able to enter it a little bit earlier. I don't have that chart up right now in front of me, but yeah, what you had circled before might have been another good opportunity to get in a little bit earlier. But
Yeah.
hey, that's another one. So, just had to be patient,
Yeah, being patient is very important. For me, I would have entered on the peak just to the right on the main chart. That's probably where I would have done, but I would have entered on the break of the previous swing low, which essentially coincides with where you ended up on your entry. So while you say you entered, just looking at this, just having just this image in front of me, while you say you entered a little late, reflectively looking at this, your entry is about the same level as my entry would have been, but your stop loss technically would have been better if you'd have used your previous swing high versus my entry. So I don't necessarily think that your entry was late per se. As you can see from the left-hand side of the chart, though, you've got an up move there. So you're waiting for confirmation signals to kind of take a short entry here because it is counter trend to what we see on this particular chart. And in those kind of cases, I restrict myself to seeing more of those kind of elements there. So I think that overall your entry here in the first orange box is pretty solid. Your scaled out entry or exit, just a couple points below, I think is totally fine. I think that's pretty good. So I wouldn't beat yourself up too much about that one. David, what do you got for us, buddy?
Great trading again, Vinny. So congratulations on that. Nice to see you executing to the plan. As everyone's talked about the liquidity and so forth. And this was yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that, which a bit reverse of today. I say we've all been there in the past that the market can move 100 handles and you're still waiting to get in. And the more the market moves, the more hesitant you can be to actually getting in. So don't repeat the phrase that Jack said. Let's not beat ourselves up where we perhaps think I could have gone a bit earlier. At the end of the day, you got in, you took a nice bit of money out and so forth. I would sort of reiterate the point that I said a few moments ago in terms of appreciate the setup that Scott's running there, but on a day where you perhaps have got the sense that things are going south or they really are going north, just leave one on. Just leave one on and be done with it.
Yeah.
Because,
that's one of the things that I've been doing, David, kind of echoing your statement is I've taken hard deltas. So like if I'm long a contract, I'll just take the contract off, but I'll put an option position on. Perfect. And I've basically reduced my delta by 50 because you're taking 100 deltas to 50 deltas. And if it wins, right? You know, at that point, all you're worried about is theta, and you've got a potential winner. And then if it continues to win, I'll just roll it out of the money even further and let it continue to win, and you continue to build those trades up. Scaling in and scaling out, I think, with Scotty zones are some of the most important things you can do, because they're really great entry signals, and you really want to benefit from that trend move.
Definitely. Yeah, fully. No, great charting, great trading.
Before we go away from this, I want to highlight one more thing here, Bruce, just the same thing we started with here. Take a look at how he's using Scotty zones, and he's looking at, you know, the 5-minute time slices where we see the liquidity that Stan loves. We see some of this more detailed order flow. It's still using Scott zones. It's using some extra stuff, but it's still using that overall tool. And then if we could go back to Dune Runner's image, Bruce, and highlight that and see the difference again visually as we're just looking straight at him. You can see we're at a more zoomed out approach. We're still using order flow. We're still using bookmap tools. We're still using all of these things. You don't have to get into the weeds if you don't want to. But if you're like me and you're just a super nerdy and you like to be in the weeds, there's nothing wrong with that. Pick which one works for you and work through it, iterate through it, and kind of process the journaling there. That's it for these ones. Let's go to the second image if we can, Bruce, for Vinny. This is one of my favorite kinds of trades. This is seeking out that liquidity. You got a trend move going here. This is, I believe, a little bit later in the day. It's kind of a reversal from the previous one, if I remember correctly, just kind of like remembering the day here. And you've got the consolidation pattern that you love to see after a good move. If you look to the left of the word consolidate, you get a big green fat volume orb. There's a ton of transaction of contracts there. That is a beauty right there. What I want to see whenever we interact with that immediately after, I want to see the market chew right there for a second. I want to see contracts trade around a little bit. I want to see support found. And then once that support finds itself, I want to start looking for those pullbacks to kind of get long again. Or I want to find support at that specific level. And I do this a lot with equity stuff. I want to see that specific level find support. And if it does, that's where I want to take my entry. And that looks exactly where you took your long entry here in the orange box. And you clearly laid out your target. It's not a home run trade. You're not trying to shoot for 50 points. You're not one of those guys who's coming into the market in the morning, I'm going to take 50 points out of the market, and it's a mean reverting market, right? You're trying to take what the market's giving you, and what's the market giving you? That giant fat stack of liquidity right there at 53.25 or 52.35 for you to target there. And again, you know, kind of similar things with the journaling process. You've got your step-by-step. You've got your date right there. You can refer back to these, and you've got your picture-in-picture. So really great stuff here. Vinny, how was this trade for you?
Oh, yeah. Thanks again. You guys are right. This one, I've been really kind of working a little bit more so on what you had talked about, that green, big fat green dot over there that took out those orders. And like you said, it just hovers. And I kind of been watching that. I kind of like that. And then it really just kind of set up in a consolidation. And that means it's just kind of stirring up some energy and waiting for the next big move. And saw the support form right underneath it, and I saw the iceberg disappear, which you know, for me, it kind of opens up a way toward that liquidity that Stan keeps talking about up there, that he really kind of focuses on. And sure enough, it just kind of opened up the door and then it hit it right toward it. So it worked out.
So with the journaling concept that I mentioned, right? Like you've notated in this particular thing, and something that you're specifically looking at, it's that iceberg disappearing, right? What I would like to see is I would like to see you, now you don't have to necessarily show me, but I want to see you start tracking those mentally. You've notated right now that this is a thing that you're looking for. Now find more instances of it. When it happens, are you noticing it each and every time? Go back in your charts earlier in the day, yesterday or the day before, or even today. When did you miss it? Did you miss it because you weren't looking, or did you miss it because like you just didn't see it, right? Because the more you see it, the more you train those eyes, and it's going to start to become something, and then you'll be able to build those stats around it, something that Bruce talks about a lot. Once you see something, you can then go back and like work through it and find out how to integrate it into your trade directly and get some metrics right with it. For me, one of the things I look for is that orphaned iceberg. So if once it was pulled, I would no longer have been looking bullish in this specific case for that specific thing to get to that iceberg. I still probably would have been bullish on this particular trade though, just because of the volume and the order flow that we see. But make sure you're tracking those things. But yeah, it's really great there. David, what do you got here for this one? What do you think about this one? This is pretty cool, I thought.
It is pretty cool, although I know it's not about me. I probably wouldn't have taken the trade quite there. Again, you see me how I trade, Jack. I probably would have put a stop order in a little bit above the big fat green bubble as a level. So that's sort of like 31 and 3/4 maybe.
Yeah.
But I appreciate actually there's a fair bit of time between that 1930 and 2000 hours. So actually probably if you're zoomed in a little bit better in the heat of the moment, there is that, you can see that higher low coming through and a real change of direction and mood music going up. So well played.
Yeah, it is a little zoomed out. He is in a 30-minute horizontal time slice here. It's fine. And Vinny, this is kind of something you want to keep an eye on. I mentioned it a couple of times before. When you zoom out to get all the information on the screen, it's great for visuals, but I would definitely keep that like more zoomed in time scale to where you can really see some of these things when you're looking at those specific things. And it doesn't necessarily matter if you're going to be zoomed out like Dune Runner, but 30 minutes can be a little misleading, right? Certain times 30 minutes on the market is like the entire market, right? Yeah. Some days we've had an opening range where it is literally the entire market. You could just collapse the whole day into the same horizontal window and nothing changes for the open, close, and highs. So,
but it's lovely just taking 5 points out. It's great. Yeah. Just in you go. Piracy, all those other sort of things. In you go. Great stuff. Great work. And you bag a couple of those during the day, and then you, well, not everyone, but your risk appetite can increase because you feel you've got some points in the bank.
Yeah, for sure. Stan or Bruce, what do you guys got for this one?
Stan?
Yeah, I find it great too. I like the way that you highlight the liquidity. That's true that I would even prefer if you had more and more, like even closer to the price, and maybe have more volume with the relative volume or the dots for the entry.
Okay. You mean like zoomed in, right? So you could see more detail? Yeah.
Exactly. But you have your setup, you apply it. Just build your stats, be confident, and take it again if it works for you.
Before Bruce jumps in, one thing that I kind of noticed here, just as I'm looking at it a little deeper, one thing you might want to look at in your stops and icebergs, especially when you zoom out at these levels, you might want to change your horizontal render for the stops and icebergs. If you have questions on that, I can do it. It'll clean up some of that noise so that there's not like a bunch of like numbers just scattered across each other. You can really see it in the next image when we go to it. But remind me about that sometime, and I'll help you with that one too. But yeah, Bruce, what do you got? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, Vinny, you've been really just doing some fantastic work. So first off, compliments, and Dune Runner as well. Dune Runner, I see you're in here. We would have. I'm sorry, we missed you. We've already gone over your image, but I would just like to hear more from you on it. Like, I mean, like what kind of gave, I mean, you said this gave you confidence over here. You're in an uptrend. You've got your really great documentation here, and very consistent. You've got the date, which I know Jack loves when you go back and look at this again, and then you've got your checklist here. But yeah, just is there any kind of nuances or any kind of details? How can we help you more with this trade setup, or what kind of feedback are you looking for?
Thank you for asking. I think Jack already mentioned it, that instead of the 30-minute time frame, I need to zoom in a little bit more, 15 minutes or 5 minutes, so I can get a little bit more of the particulars in it. So that was some great advice, and that helps me a lot because my entry could have been better than where it was. I got up there, that was a little high. I waited for the pullback, and I got in there. But just to even add on to what Jack and what everybody what everybody also mentioned is that I've been really kind of focusing a little bit more on those green dots and the big ones that take out those passive orders, and just watching what it does. Does it go up? Does it go down? Sometimes it'll go down it'll negate a follow through. But on this particular time, I'm kind of keeping a close eye on that, on a number of examples. How it hovers, it's hovering, it's staying in its place. It may kick back a little bit lower, and then it will maintain its position. And then what I really like the way it also consolidated, because again, it's really kind of stirring up that energy. It's ready for the next move, and it and yeah, just like that. So I'm really kind of like that a little bit more. We're really kind of focusing on that for some big explosion, higher all of a sudden. So yeah, so that's kind of drilling it a little bit more into those passive orders that are absorbed, and icebergs and consolidation.
Yeah, that really sounds great, because you're learning or putting together pieces like by understanding the consolidation now. So you're going, aha, here's the context, traded into this, yet there's still a lot of buying in here. And what is it doing? It's just hovering around here. Also, like it's a little bit subtler. I know that you marked up this liquidity down here as support, but there's a lot going on in this little area here too. And the book is stacked, it's you can kind of see it this light blue underneath, or dark blue, and just a few more orders, and boy, I look forward to go through this, and maybe up to 40 with some momentum. But what you're talking about is context, and that consolidation. Great stuff.
Thank you.
I don't know, any other parting comments, Jack?
No, that's really it for what I have there. For those two, the third one is just utilizing a third tool here. It's very much similar to the previous trades. We're still utilizing the Scotty Zones tools. We're still looking at order flow. We're still looking at some of the stops and icebergs and liquidity, and how it's like forming some of these elements that myself, Stan, really enjoy. But what it's also what's also including is a little bit more detail with volume pressure and the CVD signals within the Market Pulse tool, which I'm a huge fan of. I use the Market Pulse tool all the time. So really kind of like getting these tools and finding out how to interact with them is really good. Now, on this particular one, I didn't see like your Fibonacci's, especially on like the other one. So I don't know how often you use those. What I would really like to see in general is I'd like to see consistency in approach, to make sure, or to at least be mindful of the consistency approach, because you don't want to bounce around too much. You want to focus and kind of like keep things going for the most part. Even when a Fibonacci doesn't necessarily work, or even when a Market Pulse doesn't necessarily work, annotating and highlighting those are still really, really impactful, because they'll help you in some of those areas, right? And from those kinds of things, you can see like maybe certain things work in certain situations and maybe they don't in others. And that's getting back to kind of like the journaling approach of things, and just one of those things. The rest of the stuff here, it's just like all the content that you've really been creating over the last couple of weeks and months. It's great content, right? There's a lot of really good information here. You've got your placard with kind of all of your information at the top there. It's really good stuff, but that's kind of one of the things that I was curious about. We've got kind of 3 different images here. I want to see consistency in approach, even if the tool doesn't necessarily signal the trade. Make sure you're keeping track of it and why it didn't necessarily work and why you still took the trade, right? Does that make sense, Vinny?
Absolutely, yeah, you're right. And just to add on again, Jack, for you just like talking like fabulous content and information. But Market Pulse is, I have up on the screen all the time. The CVD VPI is just one of the ones that I have up. You can hear it in my background. I actually have the sound on for the. Do
you use the subchart all the time too, or do you just use the tool standalone? Okay.
No, the subchart is always up there. So I always have it up there. I'm always watching and always looking for a signal. And yeah, once that CVD is up there, it works a lot with buyers and sellers. So tries to get back to the norm. And sure enough, when I start seeing a signal like this, it really keeps me alert. The signal with the sound, also with the Markov Pulse VPI, it keeps me situationally aware. And I think the Markov Pulse is. I'm right on board with what you said. It's a valuable tool and a great asset to have.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. Really great overall. David, what do you got for this one? Anything, buddy?
Just that classic pattern across the top, really. I appreciate that's maybe not within sort of Scotty's setups, but you really have got, I'm not going to say head and shoulders, but you've got that failure when we start from sort of like 12 o'clock, 12:15, as it works its way across. The price is just not going any higher. It's not going any higher. And then
it's just dying.
It's dying. It's dying. Yes, very true. It's dying. And then it's going to scoot down to that liquidity that has come on board at sort of like 5241 and 5235, which is Scott's phrase of that magnet, isn't it? It wasn't there before, and then it suddenly is. So you know where you're going, or you know where you should be going, etc.
You're kind of reiterating the dying portion of price there. You can see that really strong impulse move, which is like just buying. And then all of a sudden you get this like Merry Christmas of like colors of red and green, red and green, red and green. All the solid green is really kind of gone, right? Like you get a little bit of a move here, but it's nothing like that initial strength of volume. No. And it really just like you can see the volume at the bottom, it just falls apart, right? So
it does. And is
this is a really good confluence. Go ahead.
Is this lunchtime? New York lunchtime? Is this a lunchtime trade on the
I
time
don't know
zone?
what the time zone is.
Okay.
Oh yeah, this is me. Yeah, it's the middle of lunchtime, but that's okay. I can multitask.
that would be sort of classic of lunchtime, where it's just dying. Everyone's heading for the bar. In the old days, anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Stan.
Yeah. No, that's perfect again. Yeah, I would just maybe look again for more liquidity to push the price to avoid you maybe a potential sweep or just to avoid that the price goes quickly against you, to have a kind of edge. Even if you highlight it, that's great if you have some more aggressive liquidity. And even for the entry, that's good. I like it. That's good job.
Bruce, did you have anything to add here?
I think interesting comment. Great stuff. Interesting comment from David about time of day, and reflecting off of that in the order flow or the price action, that's about it though. But you've got your strategy. You know what you're looking for. You got your Scotty zones, etc. Nicely executed.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. I covered 3 specific trades here with you because you're really looking at 3 different things, and I really kind of want to highlight that, like, again, order flow doesn't necessarily mean just like zooming in and watching like buys and sells in microseconds. Like there's a lot of different concepts to it, and like you can kind of pull these tools in however you are and however you want to trade them. And if you don't necessarily know a tool, just reach out and ask somebody within the Discord, guys. Somebody probably knows how to use it. If not, grab one of the coaches, grab some of the mods, get their attention, and they will definitely help you if you don't have that. Or again, you can go to the All Market stream. Bruce loves showcasing a lot of these things, so let us know like how we can help you on these things, because while we may not use the tool itself, it's because we've got a lot of tools already, right? And it's just a little too much noise necessarily. So figure out how we can help you guys, and then let us know. But that's really all I had.
Okay, just I had one more comment. Actually, I forgot about this. It is exactly what you were just talking about, reaching out into the room, and some of the consolidation here, as well as the consolidation in here. I mean, this is really back and forth. But this one here on your previous one there's a lot of buying in there. And then you might want to talk with Shark Baloo a bit with his 1, 2, 3 patterns and really starting to understand some of the legs, the moves, and the volume within them, and also the liquidity that transacts at certain levels or doesn't transact at certain levels, because that can give a lot of insight on the next leg and if it breaks out or not. Yeah, I mean, like Jack was saying, you got coaches and you got other experts in here that we can all lean on, which is a great thing in the community.
Yeah, and if I don't know how to use a tool, I'm definitely gonna reach out and ask somebody. So if you ask me a question and I don't know, I'm just gonna tell you I don't know, but I'm gonna give you to somebody who might know. So that's something to be aware of, right? Like somebody might not necessarily have the answer, but they might know who exactly to ask. So just be aware of those kinds of things. In conversations, guys, if you have questions on these things and you ask openly in the Discord channel, you're gonna get great conversation. You know, I've seen some really good conversations happen between myself and Vinny, a couple of other people. Lauren's great at conversation too. Like she'll go back and forth talking about trades and asking questions. The more you interact in your learning process and in your journey, the better things are going to be, right? So utilize the group, right? Because it's all about a community aspect. Utilize the group for what you need. Maybe it's a little bit of help with tooling. Maybe it's a little bit of help with like just Confluence. I know Veilfawn and Caesar, they interact a lot with each other. So like they've got their own little kind of community, right? Donkey Face and Crash, I know, interact a lot in their own little group. So find what kind of works and what styles work for you, and then find the people that you can kind of rely on and kind of continue to build those relationships, because trading is very lonely if you just do it by yourself. But if you interact with people and you iterate the process and you're chasing the goal of improvement, not the goal of some arbitrary Lamborghini money, right? You want to be successful, but it's the journey that's really going to help you the most. So keep those things in mind. But that's really it for the traders that I had today. I don't know who you want to go next, Bruce.
Yeah, I guess let's. I don't think I quite have yet the file from Stan, so we'll go over David's, I think.
Cool.
On a minute.
I didn't see the guys in the room earlier on, Bruce, but I know you said a couple of people have come along.
Okay. Let's see here.
So we got
you got DNT and X Trigger.
Yeah, bizarre.
Okay. DNT, he usually comes in a little bit later, and he's always in here, but not today. So we have like odd timing in here. So let's see. And Stan, let's see if I can grab your file here. Hold on just a minute.
Should be in the coach's room.
Okay, yeah, I see it now. Got it.
When we start doing these in the morning, my morning and Moby's afternoon, Bruce, will be fine. We'll have more people then, won't we?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. Do you mind, David, if we go over Stephen first, because he's in here.
No, that's what this is about. It's the guys and girls who are here.
Exactly. So Stephen, let's get you up here on the stage, and hold on. And yeah, thanks, Vinny. Get you back in the audience here. And then take it away.
Perfect. So I found really great, like what you were looking for, the context then you highlight, and how you took advantage of it. Your kind of journal meeting. I like the way you highlight the order flow, where you took the entry, the liquidity, the how you scale. Yeah, I found really great. I don't know if you want to go a little bit through the how you trade it. I found this was a good trade. I would just say maybe for the entry, it seems like at this time the dots were maybe lower. so you were not looking especially at the dots at this time. But still, you highlight the relative volume. So I was wondering um, if you were trying to integrating uh, to the entry, or just to give you the confidence that the trade is going in the good side.
Hello? You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just doing a sound check.
You're
Yeah,
maybe you can you're a little faint, Stephen. You can pump up the
not
volume.
too sure. I just set up my. I didn't know it was gonna come up. Is it very bad, or I'm not too sure how to fix that? But let's just do a quick sound check. Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
we can hear you. It's just not as loud.
Uh, yeah, I'm not too sure.
Okay. All right. Well, something's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's very bad, then maybe I can come back. I guess I can't even think of like what to set up because it is the normal setup.
Okay. Well, why don't
Okay,
you
well,
why don't you go
I'm just
for
gonna
it?
punch in. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyways, yeah. Initially, I took a trade earlier. That was a loss. I think I wasn't with the context. I didn't have a proper read on the context, but I stayed patient. Eventually, I saw the context shift to bullish, and then I just waited for like a pullback. I saw a bit of a consolidation. I think I do agree with you. Maybe a bit impatient. I did enter with a buy stop. But yeah, you can see there where my order was just above. So it did pull back a little bit, but then it seemed like it caught some support. I didn't put the trader map light on here, so it's like a bit dark. But yeah, you see the buyers come in. You can see it clearly on the delta bars. Um, I was quite conservative with my targets. Using liquidity, high liquidity, you can see like, well, my one order was at liquidity, and then I was like, okay, let me push it up. And then I noticed that I was way above the high liquidity, so I pushed it back down, and I ended up getting target 4. Also, my stops, you can see I was trailing quite aggressively as well. Yeah, I just liked how this trade went. Monday wasn't a very good day for me. But came back well on Tuesday. So Monday night I did a lot of replays, and I was like, what went wrong? I was trying to reverse engineer, like, what did I slip up? And I was actually quite glad and fortunate about that, because Tuesday I came back, which was great. And then Wednesday I didn't do much trading. I had appointments, so that's why I didn't see much activity. And then today, I also was quite patient. I went to some today, but that's about it. Anything else that you want me to elaborate?
No, that's perfect. Thank you. Yeah, and that's great for the runner. I would, yeah, just maybe for the entry, but still, yeah, if you already vet it and you know then it works, then yeah, perfect with the buy stop.
Hmm.
If not, maybe
Uh,
at
Well,
the
I'll
relative
say
volume.
this. One of the things I like about the buy stop is you kind of get in. Um, so another alternative entry is like you'd wait for the breakout, and then you want to pull back into that consolidation. So in this case, uh, I wouldn't say I wouldn't get it. Like if you look at the two green arrows,
Yeah,
what I'm showing, and then the big green arrow. So the big green arrow, I would want to pull back on that swing, and I wouldn't get it here. So that's like, I'm still trying to figure out, like,
yeah,
what's my entry technique that I like most.
yeah,
But I
yeah,
like
but
being in when it's a winner. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
So
true. Yeah, but that's perfect if you're trying, if you're working on it, that's perfect. And yeah, that's great to have a bigger view to know what you were looking for.
Yeah, today's trading setups is I did the same thing again. I try and be in the flow, make sure I understand what the context is, and I pretty much did the same thing. I must say I have been aggressively trailing my stop. Once I get target one, then I'm waiting for like that. I'm like trying to cover, like especially if I'm hesitant, if I'm worried that it's gonna go back on me, because I've had a lot of that as well. Where you think the
Yeah,
buyers are stepping in, and all of a sudden, and then you see more selling activity, and before you know it's at the break-even level, then you don't know like do I trail or not? But yeah,
yeah.
it's one of those
But
things.
your trail makes sense. Maybe just the first one. I don't know why you trade it as quick. If it's just like it was going in your side, and due to the loss, you decide to directly try to break even. Or
What are you talking about? The first trade that I took?
no, I mean like just yeah, like in this trade, you trade your stop for the first time, and I'm wondering why at this time you decide to moving it up. Yeah, exactly there.
Oh yeah. You know what? I can't even like it's very faint, but yes, good eye, good eye. I'll tell you what I did there. So I would have got stopped. And that's happened many times in the past to me. So I've got this little trick where, well, the lowest low was the consolidation. So let me just put it below the low, because I'm sure many traders can relate. Um, Sometimes, like if you had just put it below the consolidation, you would have been fine, because it does still ebb and flow in between that consolidation. So great spot there. Didn't even pick that up. Oh, but I did note it. I did note it.
Don't worry.
It's just I forget a little bit. Like I must say, when we get to the academy meeting, I already forgot like what happened in the beginning of the week. But yes, I
Yeah,
did note it. It was one of the things.
I don't know if Jack, you have anything to add, or David.
Yeah, great charting, Stephen. So thank you very much, and thank you to everyone else who's actually been doing the charting. Let me say that I love this chart. It's got the date on it. It's got the time zone on it, Stephen. So thank you for that. I love the picture in picture. Nice to see a fellow ninja trader using that system as well. I like that buy stop entry. It's something we talked about a few charts back, didn't we, in terms of sort of that breakout. So it's very much what I would be looking to do. And as Shark Blues put in the commentary, we love seeing that trailing stop, the way you move it around and you chase the price up. So you know after, I'll say sort of 10:37, 38, somewhere around there, you're in the market's money, and it's just happy days, and then you're just bagging up as you go along. Of course, back to the phrase of Monday morning quarterbacks, we can all say, okay, well, why did you pick your first profit target here, your next profit target there? But you're taking money out of the market, and that's what we're all here to do. So fantastic. So no, I really do like it. The VPOC moved up, if that is the yellow
Yeah.
line. So
It
you know,
is.
that blipped up, giving you a bit of sort of bullish enhancement, so to speak, in your mind. Do you look at anything else? You got any other confidences going on? Any other charts running on Ninja or Bookmap, please?
Well, you can see my Ninja Trader chart is quite
Yeah,
empty. I've got 3 types of tick charts, and then I've got
nice.
some Renko charts. So basically, you're looking at my higher time frame tick chart setting, which is a 4,500 tick. And then I've got 1,000, and then a
Mhm.
230. I mean, 233. It's like you get to see more of the I don't know. It's a bit more noisy, but like
Sure.
for Academy slides, I try
Hmm.
to. It also helps me when you guys ask me questions. I just look there and I kind of know like what was happening.
Yeah,
If I just take a look now, I can still see I'm still in the overnight range.
sure.
Man, laptop
Sure.
screen is a bit small, but yeah. So yeah, and like you said, I must say, having the history of like where your orders are or were and how you're managing, it's so helpful.
Yes.
Very
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
for
I'll
hindsight.
repeat the line I've said a few times tonight, so it's more generic, really. Where the market is then starting to move and it's chasing that liquidity, we can all ask ourselves, should we be getting out or should we be adding in? But again, that's it's an easy thing to say. And as you've mentioned, where you've had a loss, we all want to recover that mentally and financially. So sure, let's take the money out and that. I'd say a similar sort of thing to what Jack said. If you want to catch up and see how I use Ninja and sort of compare some charts and that, just drop me a note sometime. I'd be very happy to do that one morning, because anyone who's seen Bruce has seen my Ninja. There's a lot going on with it, Bruce.
Is it?
That's to be.
I saw a
yeah.
guy share like a chart where he had like I think 1,000 MAs. It was quite interesting. It looked
Okay.
like contours of a map or something.
Ooh, yeah. No, I'm not like that. I use 89 and 200 on an M1 chart that I find fairly effective. But yeah, it's sort of another conversation. But yeah, no, good use of liquidity there for sure. So good charting. Well done, Stan. Well done,
Thank you.
Stephen.
Thanks, gents.
Thank you. I don't know,
Hey, Bruce is
Bruce.
next.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Curious.
really, you keep on improving, Stephen, more and more, and it's really great to see. And it's heartwarming to hear about, like, the orders really helping you. I was really happy to. I've been pushing that. So we can give this feedback, because what you can read in here and give like feedback on the analysis is totally different than the feedback in an analysis on the management of the trade.
Yeah.
And that's really important, I feel. So I really like your patience and consistency. I'm kind of with you with Stan on this entry here. I'm not really seeing it if we look down here, and it's hard to see the dots in here. Now I know this is this is not the Trader Map Lite, and you can see the algo bands here, and that's kind of tough. But on the other hand, we'll be able to trade and see the MBO data and stops and icebergs probably in a few more weeks from from the Trader Map Pro and Trader Map Lite. So anyway, it seems a bit aggressive here, but you nailed it. And then it really is telling you in here, And I don't know where you would have gotten in. It's like Stan said, how do you deal with that? I mean, maybe in here, but that's a maybe. It's moving pretty quick, and these days are volatile, so maybe you don't even have a choice. Like, like how this went from 70, let's just say 70 here up to 30. There's 30 points right there, pretty quickly. So
Monday was crazy.
yeah, I mean, how do you get in? And I like the buy stop idea. I use it all the time. But yeah, this is it. At least from the chart, I know we got the bigger picture up above, which is great. So that makes sense. And like David was saying, you've got your VPOC, or point of control coming up here, and so you're coming from an uptrend. And
Zombie calls this outside in.
no,
the setup.
This was
it's like you want to.
I mean, where did you get in? You got in here, right?
The last arrow, the last white arrow, and I played that long.
Okay, so then you were
at the bottom of the arrow, the last one. Yeah, right there, where you have your cursor.
Okay.
So I got long there.
Okay.
Yeah, so Tom, he gets long, and then he wants to take his first target before or at POC. So
right.
It's an outside in setup. That's what he calls it. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Yeah. No, I like the outside in or inside out very much. Just I just have the feedback on the entry. I mean, the scaling out, I can kind of make some sense of it. Like, there's maybe a measured move of the range, and you're looking for it, and it did do a little wiggle right after that.
My targets there are 5-point spread. So it's 5 points, then 10 points.
I see.
Target 1 is 5, target 2 is so, I was fortunate that it was a big range day, and that's why I ended up getting the targets out quite quick and aggressive.
Okay, so you're using the multi-brackets tool for this.
Yeah, I'm kind of a bit of a hybrid. I'm also using an ATM strategy of Ninja as well.
Okay.
So it places that as well for me.
Okay, I see.
But yeah, I've tried the multi-brackets as well.
Okay. Yeah, and then yeah, I love the stop management as well. So yeah, once you're in it here, I mean, it's pretty clear. I mean, it wants to go up into these areas. This is the tricky part here.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. I see what you're pointing out.
Yeah. That's everything I got for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you, Stan.
Great.
Thank you.
Stan.
So, yeah, next one. So thank you, Stephen, and
Thanks, guys.
yeah,
Take
keep
care.
posting.
Yeah, appreciate it. Bye.
And so we will go through Kolobolo. I don't know if he's here.
No, he's not in.
No. So, all right, he put a small description of what he was looking for. So in this case, he's looking at the reversal, and he will enter aggressively at the first break, and the good entry should be at the second one. So we can see like he's using the delta to maybe add some support at some key level, some potential trap bias. And I would maybe, yeah, if it works, and that's perfect for you. But to add one step at a step, the heat map, the dots, the volume, and try to really take advantage of what bookmaps offer, by maybe understanding more, yet to have more conviction when you take it, like the liquidity, as I always say, or even the dots. You can do it slow and trying to integrate it, but it seems like you have already done like more than 500 tests, and you got pretty much good results. So I would just suggest to add maybe a bit of order flow, but yeah, I don't know if you have anything to say, David.
Not a great deal, I have to say. Yeah, that's if it's effective, then it's effective. If I ramble a story, when I was a forex trader, there's a book out of Australia, and I think it's called like Naked Forex or something like that, and those guys were showing how you can just use very simple charts to trade the highs and the lows and so forth, and essentially did not put any other noise on the screen, although it's something, as those who've seen my charts, I like the noise. I like all that busyness. But if it's effective, then fantastic. But if you've got Bookmap, then it's certainly worth using all the great tools that are there. In my own opinion, that has to be said.
Yeah, totally agree. I don't know, Bruce.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a funny thing. Like, I've been demoing Bookmap for quite a while to people, and this is actually one of the first steps that I demo, and maybe even take this off the chart, just the best bid and offer, last price, take that off the chart and just show candles, and then break it down and say like, aha, see in this period, like let's suppose there's a candlestick up here, and well, yeah, like whatever it might be, but like you don't know like the volume in it, you don't know the order flow, like where the passive orders and the transactions between them, etc. But at least with that let's suppose this doji here or whatever is at least you can see like the back and forth in it. So it's showing market structure, and market structure is so critical to understand. I mean, there's so many things that you can take away just from market structure. Here's your trend line up, and I know he's been drawing it here in the break of it. But look at this right here. It comes right back into the high volume node of this area here, and it's going to fail. There's probably all of this trap volume up in here. It's probably up in here. I'd love to see and confirm it though, like you're saying, Stan, and David. What's happening up here? I don't know. Now though we have a lower high, and now we have a lower low and another lower high. So it's not looking good, but I still don't have the context in here. But it's the market structure though is such an important part, and I keep on bringing up Shark Baloo and his 1, 2, 3, understanding on these legs what's happening in them on the certain leg is going to give you so much information. Also just the leg itself, like the strength of the leg, how far did it move, what about the angle of that leg, etc. And did it break the swings? Did it make a higher high or a lower high or a lower low? That can be so telling, like you were saying about naked charts, David. But the order flow is what really can confirm it.
Yeah, no, completely. And those, if I segue into Adam Grimes, some of you know Adam Grimes or you've read his books and so forth. The early part of his course, and I think some of his course, Bruce, is still free online. Not a plug. He's an institutional trader, but his early part of his course is very much like this. So you understand and you can see those patterns forming and breaking out. So then when you do look at a fuller chart, you recognize it straight away. And what we saw in front of us here, we saw today. Despite the massive rally up, eventually that rally comes to an end and it starts to fail. But as you're saying, Bruce, when you start to unpick and look at the order flow, do you realize that yes, it's going to genuinely pull back to something? And I'm using my footprint as well as obviously all the other tools within Bookmap to see exactly what is going on. And that then gives me the confidence to trade aggressively. If I was just looking at this chart here, I think it would be Pico lots or something like that. That I'd be trading or something. But yeah. Well, good to see. A nice alternative, anyway.
It's really is. I'm just fascinated by this stuff. I mean, and then how you can see this in Bookmap in here. Like, what is the context in here? Here's the market. This is what the price did. This is pure price action.
It is.
Now, and it's not aggregated. Now we want to see where the volume is transacting. Even in this little area in here, on these little legs, where's the volume transacting? What about the liquidity? What's the context of these three elements? It's going to give you so much information. But it does start with the market structure. He's looking at just this kind of very, it's varied. It's not going to happen all the time. But that trap up here, but it's a good one. It's a real good one. I mean, and look at the move that unfolded. So anyway, I don't know, David. I mean, I like your references to these. It's great. It's great stuff. Yeah. Other than that, this is a very simple setup. I also appreciate the simplicity of it,
and easy with hindsight. And we're not being critical here, so thank you for the posting and everything else. But as you're highlighting, Bruce, laboring the point, once we've gone through that first break, we don't know whether it's going to retest higher, whether it's going to be a complex pattern and it's going to scoot back up, and it's any actually then sort of been in that micro level. Can we really see micro and macro charts to really see that no, actually it's given up and it's going into reverse for a while?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's kind of alluding to it in this chart. but we just don't have the details like you and Stan both have said. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
a long-winded sorry for the long-winded route there to say the same thing you guys already said.
No,
That's good.
but still, yeah, as he said, he did it like over 500 times, and he got like good results. So if you already vet it, maybe just try to add a bit of order flow. But yeah, if it works, if you had a good amount of trade and good results, just keep doing it.
Yeah, what works for you? Yeah, very, very much, very much.
Yeah, I mean the only other thing I can add here is like it kind of scares me when he did it 500 times and it's more kind of system trading. Fantastic. I mean that's vitally important to do and understand your edge. There's been a lot of talk about forward testing and knowing. I mean like time of day. What's the environment for the fundamentals, etc. Like when we do back testing like that, we don't have any of that reference, and it's really important stuff. So I don't know if he's listening later on the recording, like I would suggest replay mode after the day is ended, and then go through it again and start to understand that context. Kind of forward test it, understand it a bit better. That's everything I got. So let's move on to yours, David. I think, or Stan, do you have more, or
No, that's perfect.
that's it? Okay,
Yeah.
okay, great.
Great.
All right, so let's get David going. All right. Let's see. We'll hold off for DNT. Maybe he'll come in. So, David, take it away.
Yeah, please. So if you can zoom in as always. So this is from Cesar, doing damage to his name there, X trigger. I assume this is on New York time. So as we've said earlier on, nice to sort of see date, time, etc. really clear, because we are an international community. As we all know, we've got Moby down in Australia, Yuri in Israel, and everyone else in between. So to speak, he's playing a VWAP fail trade. So nice to see he's got his checklist working through. He's explaining what he's doing. He's got his entry in there. He's got his limit entry in there. This one here, Bruce, is sort of a classic to what we had earlier on with Jack in terms of you've got the price. The price scoots up at 14.20. So we are approaching, as I say, if this is New York, we are approaching the open. So a couple of things. First of all, brave to be taking a trade just before the open. Nothing wrong with that, but time of day again, Bruce, as we do talk about. Price scoots up through that VWAP, fantastic. We then see immediately the some heavy 600 contracts coming in at sort of like 5.4. 7.9 and a quarter, and you've got a large lot within that. You can see that nearly 600 is just one individual trader, something I'm always eyeful for, but he's already taken the trade. So perhaps so it's a bold move for me getting in there. If taking the trade 2-3 minutes later when that liquidity has gone in, I can, as we've talked about tonight, where you've got levels above. Stan will be all over this chart, I know, as the price gets bullied down. But either way, he gets in. We can see where his stop is above, which is good at 5.480. So nice to see that. Fairly tight stop for sure in the current market. As I was saying to Bruce at the start of the call when I was talking to Moby a few days back, he's been trading the ES a lot more because the ES is the new NQ, so to speak. So I've widened my stops a little bit more on ES compared to where they used to be, simply because the way it zips around. Anyway, back to the chart, David. So you've got the build-in liquidity above, the price comes down, he's got a set, we can see a set sort of profit target, which is bang on the money, whether that's just expertise or the good Lord or everything else in between, but fantastic to get bagged up there. The question I would have, if he was on the call, is again, appreciate not a VWAP trade, Bruce, but the price comes back up to sort of 54.76 and a half, and we've got, just like we had on the previous stuff, we've got some failures coming through. So as you develop your skills and you're widening your setups, there is another trade to be had. You've made some money. Why not get back in and write it down for another leg? But again, Monday morning quarterbacks and so forth. But anyway, he's in and out ahead of the open. So well done him. Stan, thoughts, please, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, not a lot to say. It play out. Find
Yeah.
a bit dangerous, like about 2 tick from the stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would maybe just say for the entry to wait more about orders confirmation.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, as we can see in this example, yeah, Mike goes quickly against you. So yeah, and with those, but and maybe even like if you just see like the bias conviction at this time,
Hmm.
you would maybe not. Yeah, I would potentially cancel just my order when I see this green.
Yeah. It's
The
bold.
first green, but yeah, just trying to climb.
Yeah.
But
And that could have gone, sorry to cut in, that could have gone 10, 15, 20 handles in a zip. It really could, the way the market is
Yeah.
at the moment. So it's bold. And then we had to stop there. Bold. Yeah.
yeah,
Well done. Well done.
true.
Bruce, any bits to add, sir, with your technical eye, please? I think Bruce might be muted.
Sorry, guys. I was just saying. No, I totally agree with you on this pullback. I think this is a really nice trade here.
Yes. Yeah.
But and he's got his setup in here, but I think it's a little too aggressive. I think it's actually way too aggressive. You can get hurt so quickly on these. And why take the risk? He's front running his VWAP here. He's VWAP trading. So what? Like, this, I know, and there's high liquidity. Okay, so that's good. That's really good. You've got those things. But then trade management, like you're saying, Stan, pull it. Like, don't take that risk. Take the risk down here. And once it starts to get below that level, you got some confirmation, you got some exhaustion, you got something in this back and forth in here. And now you got something, and yeah, I would start. It's hard to see on the left hand side, but that you got a swing here that maybe you can target, and but you say this. He says that it's covered at 20 ticks. The market doesn't know about 20 ticks.
No.
So, but it's a beautiful trade, that's for sure. Anyway, I don't know if the more aggressive might be in here, but the pullback is beautiful here because you got your your heavy volume in here, and then much lighter on the way back here, and then the back and forth in here, exhaustion, some selling, very little buying, some selling, very little buying. It can't even make a higher high. We're just looking for it in here, and I don't quite see it actually until down here.
But it's that pattern, and you've got the high liquidity up above of the 600 single trade, so to speak. So yeah, that may well have moved down later on in the chart. Who knows?
Yeah. I really like your pullback idea, David. I mean, you also got some structure in here. It retests back to that structure and back to where those sellers originally came in and moved, and it just can't get through. So we got some nice things in here.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, David?
No, that's good. Thank you. The next one is another risky trade. So it's nice to see risky traders around. So this is a trade into the close. This is a trade into close, and he's also playing his VWAPs into close. Now, I love trading the close. I was trading the close until I joined Bruce and Jack and Stan pre-call today, and it's a great time, but it is for the brave, a bit like the Open we talked about last week. In my own opinion, it is for the brave. And why I say that is that you've got so much volume. I appreciate I'm preaching to the choir, but you've got so much volume going through across the stocks that make up the index. Yeah, so like the way I talked about earlier on, how Meta had moved so much, you've got those day traders, institutions covering, hedging, bagging up, and all the other words around that will completely skew and drive the index towards 4 o'clock. It really will. So whether there's a VWAP on there, a VPOC on there, an EMA on there, or everything else, those don't always get respected at the close. They just don't. So where you've got a setup and you're trying to use those technical levels at a close, I just urge a little bit of caution. That's all. Anyway, lovely chart. We've got a picture in picture, which is good to see the context here, Bruce. You can see he had an initial attempt on a shorter VWAP, again 10 minutes before the close. So not surprising, but nice to share that he was trying to get in. He then nails the next level up, but which you can see from the pattern. This is the box pattern there, Bruce. This is a similar pattern to what we've just talked about. You know, it scoots up at 1550. It doesn't get above that. It's starting to fail. It's just screaming out that there is a chance to get short. The volume's dropped off, but the volume is quite distorted a little bit on the left. But anyway, down it comes, and he's off, and he's making good money. So well done to him. As always, it would be my usual line. Once you're into a good trend, then maybe look to add, maybe look to scale in, all those other sort of things where you can really start to fatten the account off a trade. But again, I'd just reiterate the point, really, trading into the close is brave. Is really brave, for sure. Dan, any thoughts, please, on this colorful chart?
Thanks. That's great. And he was cutting. Maybe it will be great to see your trade through Bookmap. It's easier for us to really see where you exit. Really about your money management. We can see then you short, and then you exit on next candle, and you took another short. That's great. Then you had some confidence about the order flow, like you saw exhaustion, and you took advantage of it. No, that's a great one. It will be just great to see your trade through Bookmap.
Yeah, great point. Some thoughts, please, Bruce?
So I mean, I would say, like, first thing is follow maybe the lead of some of the other Bookmap members here, Academy members, with a checklist, and it really kind of a more defined setup. The checklist is your kind of guardrails to keep you on the on the line, on the path, and that might be really helpful for you. So other than that, I totally echo your thoughts, David, about, like, it's risky. It's the time of day. Time of day is so important, and it made me rethink. Like, we should do another webinar with you and your trade management, because I love the way that you're very aggressive, and but you see something good, and like you're going, wow, this looks great, so I'm throwing money at it, and you nail it. I mean, I'm looking at some of your charts. I go, oh yeah, I threw like 4, 5, 8 contracts on it. And like, holy cow, like, it's just it's a great way of trading. If it's not for the faint of heart, and you're looking for something simple and blunt and direct, and
It
then
is,
and
and
then aggressive.
yeah, and it just comes from years of being at the screen. There's no sort of magic. Tom always says to me, and like, what's the magic sauce? And I said, come on, Tom, you're the one. You've stared at the screens a lot longer than me. It's just like that pattern there. You see it, you get a feel. I'm looking at some other confluence, and then I hit it hard. Like today on gold. Gold started off at about 24.32 ish in the London, and there's some lovely hidden orders coming in, and you start off with one, and then before you know it, yeah, you're getting towards double digit without saying it, because the market's just going one way, and you just have the confidence to trade what you're seeing. But that just, for me anyway, came with time, as well as that sort of checklist in my head, Bruce.
Yeah.
As you say, it's does this add up? Does that add up? Is it the right time of day? Am I seeing this? Am I seeing that? I'm checking a few other things, and off I go. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like time of day here, like this is where it kind of all I can kind of get away with, saying the being aggressive, because like it doesn't respect all these other things. The market doesn't care, and that's where your way of trading is matching really nicely.
Yeah, yeah. No, you can look at Nvidia, and you can see some days you see X million shares getting sold, and that doesn't give a damn about a VWAP or a POC on the NQ or ES chart at 359. It just doesn't. It doesn't at all. It's just yank it around. But anyway, I think everyone gets the point.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, good stuff. So I think that's it for X Trigger.
It is. Yeah, I had 2 for him, but he had a few on his spreadsheet, so well done on that. So appreciate again everyone doing that, because I know it does take time, particularly if you're trading.
And we've got one more with DNT Matter, but you know what? He's not in here. And I know you did the work, David. I don't know if you want to cover it, we can go over it. I was just kind of thinking maybe we'll go over it next time.
Let's go over it next time. If there's a generic thing and it's an open point question, perhaps, Bruce, to sort of leave you to ponder, and Academy members to ponder. What DNT Matters posting are more like mine. They're in the moment. They're like, I've just seen this. So like it would have been like David's post on gold this morning in Spot Gamma. Yeah. There's not a lot of commentary. I just put a couple of circles around a couple of things, what I'm seeing and what I'm doing and where I'm getting in. And then I start to talk about my profit. My first target was 24.50, which we didn't hit till sort of until I think Chicago got going. It's that sort of point, really, Bruce. We have the great charts we've seen earlier on that've got, the time zone, they've got everything else in there, which is brilliant. They've got picture in picture, and they are more of a sort of a textbook, like Jack would rightly talk about. You can read on the weekend, you can understand, you can study it, you can learn from it, or you've got these more light, hot charts like we're seeing here from DNT Matter, which are very important to a live Discord channel, but serve a different purpose. Anyway, you get the point, I think.
Yeah. No, it's a really good point. I mean, like, I think a lot of us retail traders, we are looking for something. We're looking for certainty,
Yes.
and we're trying to get it through some sort of like math equation, or some sort of like it did these things, therefore it should do this, and it doesn't really work like that. I mean, you really look for, something that just looks more certain, like the participants in the auction, their behavior, and then you put the risk on, and it works or it doesn't. And you try to take advantage of it by seeing it many times and understanding the edge. But just trying to calculate, it doing these things, and then therefore it should do this. Like, it's refreshing to understand or to see like your style of trading of like, wow, it's just doing this, but it's doing it really freaking well. And I'm gonna put money on that.
Yeah. Yeah, you should have seen me yesterday, Bruce. I'm rambling, but I'd pretty much done for the day. I'd then gone to the gym, and I could see the market was tanking, and I was posting pictures of my beer and everything else, and going like bits of swearing to Spot again. I'm like, come on, I just want to have it's my evening, isn't it? I want to have the night off, please. Can you guys stop selling the market? But you've got to get in there and join in. You have to. You have to. So we all do. All good.
Yeah, great. Well, I leave the last word to you, David and Stan. Any more comments you guys want to make?
Stan, sir?
Yeah, thank you for posting. Just keep posting. There is very good content. Really appreciate it.
Definitely. No, I'd echo that as well. Thank you and appreciate everyone taking the time. And like I said to Stephen, if anyone wants to reach out to any of us directly and chat about whether it's Ninja Trader, we're always very welcome to do that, because we all learn together at the end of the day. Always happy to share. All we compete against is the market. So thank you. Have a great weekend ahead, everyone.
Great. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, coaches.
Thanks, guys. Take care. God bless. Take care.